Bonjour, welcome back to French for Middle Schoolers. In this video, we're going to cover all forms of adjective agreement, including number and gender, and the placement of adjectives in a sentence. First, let's start with regular adjectives. Let's take intelligent as an example, which means smart. The masculine singular form is the regular form, which is intelligent. For the masculine plural form, you have to add an S, making the adjective intelligent. For the feminine singular form, you add an E, making the adjective intelligente, and for the feminine plural form, you add an es, making the adjective intelligente. Those are the rules for most regular adjectives, but there are different rules for adjectives that end with an e, such as jeune, which means young. In this case, the masculine form is the regular adjective jeune, which means young. The masculine plural is the adjective with an extra s, jaune. The feminine singular is also the regular form of the adjective because it already ends with an e, so it would be jaune, and the feminine plural form is jaune with an extra s. Thus, for adjectives that already end with an e, the masculine and feminine forms are the same. Next, let's cover the rules for adjectives that end with an s, like gris, which means gray. The masculine singular form is the regular form of the adjective, or gris. The masculine plural form is also the regular form of the adjective because there is already an s at the end, so in this case it would be gris. The feminine singular form would have an extra e at the end, making the adjective grise, and the feminine plural form would have an extra es at the end, making the adjective grise. Now let's move on to more complex adjectives, such as those that end with the letters eux. An example of such an adjective is heureux, which means happy. When you have these adjectives, change the x in eux to an se for the feminine form. Thus, the feminine form of heureux would be heureuse. The masculine plural form would be the regular adjective, heureux, and the feminine plural form would be the feminine form with an s, or heureuse. Next, let's go over adjectives that end with the letters if, such as sportif, which means athletic. When you have these adjectives, you have to change the f in if to ve for the feminine form. This would make the feminine form of sportif, sportive. As usual, the masculine plural form is the regular form with an extra s, sportive, and the feminine plural form is the feminine form with an extra s, sportive. Now we're going to cover adjectives that have irregular feminine forms and don't follow any pattern. The feminine form of blanc is blanche. The feminine form of bon is bonne. The feminine form of gentil is gentille. The feminine form of gros is grosse. The feminine form of mignon is mignonne, and the feminine form of long is longue. To find the plural forms, you have to follow the other rules you learned before. For example, for gros, the masculine plural form is the regular form of the adjective because it ends with an s, but the feminine plural form is grosses with an extra es, because you add an s to the feminine form. Now, we are going to go over the different forms of the adjective beau, which means handsome or beautiful, nouveau, which means new, and vieux, which means old. These three adjectives have irregular forms, so they need to be memorized separately. The masculine singular form of beau is beau. But when you want to use the masculine singular form and the noun starts with a vowel or an H, you need to use bel. For example, to say handsome man, you would say bel homme, where bel is spelled B-E-L. Now pay attention to the pronunciations and spellings of the other irregular forms as I read them out loud. Masculine plural for beau is beau. Feminine singular for beau is belle. Feminine plural for beau is belle. Masculine singular for nouveau is nouveau or nouvelle. Masculine plural for nouveau is nouveau. Feminine singular for nouveau is nouvelle. Feminine plural for nouveau is nouvelle. Masculine singular for vieux is vieux or vielle. Masculine plural for vieux is vieux. Feminine singular for vieux is vielle. And feminine plural for vieux is vielle. And finally, we're going to talk about the position of adjectives in a sentence. In French, only certain adjectives are before the noun, while the rest are after that noun. The types of adjectives that come before the noun can be remembered by this acronym, BAGS, for beauty, age, goodness, and size. All adjectives pertaining to beauty, age, goodness, and size go before the noun. Examples of these kind of adjectives are joli, beau, jeune, vieux, bonne, grande, and petit. Pay attention to the adjectives in the following example sentences. Elle est une fille intelligente. She is a smart girl. Il est un grand garçon. He is a big boy. Notice how the first sentence does not have a bags adjective, so intelligent goes after the noun. That's all there is for this video. I know there was a lot of information about adjectives and it can be overwhelming at first, but I suggest you watch this video a few times to really grasp the various rules I talked about. Au revoir!